Hi guys, Squirrel here. Welcome back to Trucking Diaries NA. Another episode. Yes, episode 48. Can you believe it? Episode 48 of Trucking Diaries NA. It's been a little while since I've did one of these. Got some stuff to talk about today, but before we do that, let's go ahead and get set up here. Let's just make sure my gears are all working correctly, as they should be. And yes, they do, so let's start her up. Parking brake is on. Side lights are going on. Okay, I've picked a delivery, which is a nice little tanker. Actually, it's not that one. It must be down the road. Let me have a quick look what it is. Yeah, it's just, oh, where's that? Oh, no, it's down the road. Yeah, we've got to go down the road to Texaco. And then we're going to drive down to Phoenix today. So it's about a 450-mile journey, something like that. It should be a nice little journey. And we've got a few things to talk about. Let me just make sure the road is clear. Actually, I'm beginning to wonder if my traffic is turned off, you know. 1 second. Nope, traffic is on. There was no traffic though, and I was beginning to think I'd turn traffic on. So sometimes what I do is, if I'm doing some thumbnails, sometimes I'll turn off traffic, just because I can, you know, put the truck in the middle of the road and not get hassled by tooting trucks coming past. But yeah, it just hadn't spawned. If you're wondering how to get that console, there's plenty of posts on the internet about it, but you just have to change the setting in your config file, and it enables the developer console, and then there's a whole bunch of commands that you can actually run to do things. And one of them is you can just turn traffic on and off, which is not terribly useful most of the time, but you know, if you're somebody like me who's making thumbnails, it can be fairly useful. So just I double check there. Right, which lane are we in? This lane, and we want to be. Are we going left down here? I think we're okay in this lane for now. Yeah, so we are in. I should have mentioned we came from San Francisco, if you remember in the last episode, and we're in Oxnard. And we're going to be going to Phoenix, Arizona. Arizona is something I want to mention later on because it actually borders with New Mexico. And New Mexico, of course, is going to be the next expansion of ATS. No actual date on that yet, so we have no idea when it's coming out. It's getting that late now. But as we know, the pace of developments on ATS is well, if we put a positive spin on it, it would be nice if it was quicker. Let's put it that way. But it is what it is. They're busy hiring, from what I understand, taking on more people. Hello, why is this guy stopping? Loads of room. Those flashing, those brake lights that are flashing, you know, the red lights, I thought they'd gone now. I thought they were all amber lights. Are they still in use? You guys in the States? I thought they'd been swapped out in favour of amber lights. Wow, this thing gets up to 55 so quickly. This lane, is this the correct lane, I think? Or is that going to go all the way to the right? I think maybe it's this lane. Oh. I don't think we want to exit there, do we? Nope. Let's keep going. So, I don't know if you've been paying attention to the blogs and stuff that SCS chuck out, but they're talking about liftable axles now. Liftable axles, which is a feature that apparently has been heavily requested amongst the fan base. Now, I don't really keep in touch with the forums and what's going on in the forums and what people are requesting. I'm kind of curious as to where this has come from, liftable axles. Now, in case you're not aware, liftable axles do a couple of things, I guess. One of them is that, you know, you can lift the axles and reduce the tyre wear when there's not a lot of weight on the trailer. And the other thing is you can lift axles, which kind of makes it easier to reverse the trailer. It increases the manoeuvrability. Now, I'm wondering why fans have been requesting this in this game. Because there's no... tyre wear is not modelled in this game at all. Like, there's just no tyre wear. It's not a tracked thing, it's not something we worry about, it's not an expense. If I lift up my axle or not, it will not make any difference to my finances or indeed the gameplay, I don't think. Whether it will actually affect maneuverability, well, I assume it will when they put it in the game, so I'm kind of hoping that when it comes in, you know, if I lift up my axle, I'll be able to reverse it into position a bit easier. That bit's useful, but the tyre wear side of things, not really. It's the same with the trucks, you know, the kind of mid-lift trucks that you get. It's great having it. It does make the truck a bit more maneuverable, but ultimately, in terms of tyre wear and stuff, it doesn't make a jot of difference. And arguably, I think they maybe could have brought that in as a gameplay feature, because truck maintenance is it's a thing. You know, it's a cost. It's something you have to worry about as a trucker and as a logistics company. I don't know why it's not in the game. I don't know why it's never been in the game. But if you're going to bring in liftable axles, I would have thought that would have been a golden opportunity to actually say, well, let's bring in liftable axles and let's now bring in this new gameplay feature, which is tyre wear. Even if it was modelled simplistically and we have to then go and worry about replacing tyres, maybe your handling would get reduced as the tyre wears down. Maybe when you pull in for an inspection, if your tyre is below legal tread depth, then there would be a penalty. You get where I'm going, yeah? The kind of things that make the gameplay more realistic, I would have thought would have quite nicely hooked into liftable axles. Now, given it's not there, why was the community requesting it? That's my kind of question. Sorry, dude. Please don't drive into my trailer like that. Come on, bro. Dude. You could see I was there. Okay, somehow he's done 0 damage to my tank. I'll admit, I pulled out on him, but equally I'll admit that the guy had plenty of room to stop and should not have hit me. Anyway, well, that's the AI, right? So yeah, I don't know. Liftable axles, why people want them or why they're coming in. Another thing that wasn't really mentioned on the article, but apparently is coming in, and is something that I've asked for a long time, and it is actually useful, is diff lock. Differential lock. I don't know if you know what that is or not, but differential lock is quite simply the differential on a vehicle allows one wheel to turn at a different speed to another wheel that's on the same axle. So that is basically what allows a vehicle to turn, because as you make a turn, the outside wheel is spinning at a greater speed than the inside wheel. So that's why you need differentials. A differential lock, the reason you have that is because if one of your wheels suddenly finds itself with not much friction on it, which can happen in, you know, in slippy conditions, or in this game, even if you get your sort of truck on a curb and one of the wheels kind of pops up in the air, it'll spin. If it happens to be your drive wheel, it will spin, and all the power will go to that wheel, and none of it will go to the other wheel, which is on the ground. And the net effect of that is you can beat yourself, as I've managed to do a few times. You can't move because you can't get the power down. If you could enable the diff lock, what that would do is put equal amounts of power to both wheels. One would spin and the other one would move you forward. So differential lock, absolutely agree with, like, really want that in my life. And apparently that's coming in. I don't know if it's coming in at the same time as the liftable axles or not. That bit is unclear, but I hope so. Liftable axles is apparently coming in very, very shortly. Going to go into an open beta test first, and then you know, going into release not long after that. Other interesting questions around liftable axles is what effect is that going to have on trailer packs? Like, is it going to break all of the trailer packs? If you remember when they brought out advanced coupling, when advanced coupling came out, oh boy, did that create some chaos. The mod authors had to quickly run around and fix all of the trailer packs, which for people like Jazzycat, who have trailer packs with hundreds of trailers in them, that is not a small job. Now I do hope it won't break them, but I fear that it will. So I'm a little bit cautious of that side of it. I really hate it when we get a game release that breaks all of my mods. And I know that mods are not officially supported, blah blah blah, but everybody knows that most people use mods in Euro Truck and American Truck. We need them, right? They just enhance the experience massively. Particularly trailer packs. They can do things that SCS simply can't do. For example, bring us trailers with real logos on them, even though, you know, because SCS can't do it because they don't have a license. But mod authors can do it, well, because they're not really selling them anyway, so what's the difference? So I really hope that it's not going to break things, but I'm looking forward to the diff lock, definitely. The liftable axles, it'd be a nice thing to have, but I would have wanted a little bit more on the plate with that one. But yeah, that's what we're getting. If you do, when the release does come out with the liftable axles, you need to map a key, because there is no key by default. You need to go into your keyboard controls and map a key to lift and drop the axle, so just bear that in mind. It's not a feature that you'll be automatically enabled. It's not like, oh, how do I lift and drop my axle? Well, the answer is you have to go map a key. A bit like the zoom thing, a lot of people don't even know that exists. And that came in a while ago, but again, you have to go map a key for it, so if you don't map a key, you don't get that. I mapped it to my shift key. I can just reach over and press my shift key, and it's kind of handy, particularly when you're like, oh, what's over there, you know, when I'm parking. It's really handy to have the shift key, and also I can just look at the dials a bit easier as well sometimes. So yeah, just bear that in mind. Apparently they've got 20 people now, over 20 people focused on ATS development, and the goal is, they say, to double production bandwidth for both ATS and ETS2. They admit that content is not coming out for ATS as quickly as it should be, and they're hoping to increase that bandwidth. As we've kind of pointed out before though, if we're looking at a new state every 6 months, well, we're looking at a 10-year program. We're looking at, you know, a long time to get out the whole of North America. And sadly, it seems the market for modders is not that great on ATS. And even I've been hearing the ATS multiplayer is pretty empty these days compared to, say, the ETS multiplayer. Now, I don't tend to go on the multiplayer myself, but this is what I've been told by people who do. So in some respects you might say, well, ATS is dying. I don't think it's fair to say it's dying. I think the problem is that the rate of development is just not there. And there aren't as many mod authors as there needs to be. And all of these things are adding up to the fact that people are getting fairly kind of, in quotes, bored. Let me just work out where I'm sleeping here. People are getting bored because they don't have any new content. They don't have new places to drive. They don't have, you know, new trailers and trucks to go to haul. That's what's missing. You know, SCS isn't doing it, and the mod authors are not doing it. So it's a bit of a sad situation, really. But I still have, you know, fairly good hopes that this game will continue to progress. SCS is certainly behind it. It's just a matter of whether we can get mod authors behind it, really. Don't pull out on me, pal. Thank you. Right, there's a fuel station down here. I think I might need a bit of fuel as well. Well, I'm on a half a tank. We'll fill up. We'll fill up and we'll rest down here as well. It's a little bit early to be resting. It's only... oh no, it's 8 o'clock. It's fine. It's not that early. Okay, this is a little bit of an awkward entrance because I have to get all the way over here to come back all the way over there. To then hopefully avoid smashing into anything. Brake is on. Lights and engine are off. Tell you what, fuel fill-up in ATS is hilariously low compared to ETS. I was driving over Russia the other day and I filled up my tank and it was €1,000. Look at that, $250. Okay. Lights are back on. I could do the little repair as well. I think I'm like 7% on the truck. It's not a lot, but I could do with getting that sorted out at some point. But as I said in the last video, the entire goal really is to just pay off the loan. You know, once that's paid off, things start to pick up quite a bit. But until that's paid off, wow, it doesn't like that jump, does it, to 6? Blimey. Until it's paid off, it just eats away at your income. My guy's yawning frantically. Okay. It's down here on the left. Looks like a hotel. And then we're straight back on the highway and off we go. Yep, it's a hotel. Actually, I'm sure I've rested here before. I'm sure of it. In one of my videos, I'm sure of it. Now, I really don't want to reverse into this parking bay, so I'm just going to pull in this way. Ouch. Bit of curbage there. Yep, that'll do. Okay, let's get some rest. .30 AM. Beautiful. How far left? 340. Let's go around the back this way. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the other thing that SCS has said is that New Mexico is the next state to come out for American Truck Sim. Now, I'm British, I'm not an American, so I've heard of New Mexico, but wasn't really sure where it was. So that caused me to go and have a look to see where it was. And whilst I was at it, I thought to myself, hang on, let's just read up a little bit on New Mexico, because I don't know anything about it. You know, it sounds like New Mexico, it sounds like it kind of has something to do with Mexico. So I figured it would be near Mexico and maybe has some kind of Hispanic feel about it. That's what I was thinking. But I thought, well, let's go and have a look at it, see what the culture is and the history, and then maybe I can work back from that and it'll tell me what to expect from that state in terms of what it'll look like. Like, is it going to be lush and green? Is it going to be arid and dry? Is it going to be hilly? Is it going to be flat? Like, what's it going to be? What are the buildings going to look like? That's really what I was looking for. So I had a little poke around on the internet. That font of truth. And first thing I discovered is it is actually east of Arizona. So when we look at the map, we've got Arizona where we're like literally where we're heading now, towards the east. We'll hit Arizona, and then if we kept going, we would eventually hit New Mexico. Let's slow down a bit. So that's where it sits in the geography side of things. North of it is Colorado, which I think will make an interesting state when they get to Colorado, but that's another topic. East of New Mexico is Texas and a bit of Oklahoma, but Texas is massive. Like, just seriously enormous. I don't know if and when they're planning on tackling Texas, but it's going to take considerable amount of effort to do Texas, particularly at the scale we're now on. That's going to be big. That is like, you know, I've not compared the size of Texas to parts of Europe, but in my head I'm thinking it's probably at least as big as like Spain, France, and possibly Germany all combined. I don't know. It's just massive. I didn't realise it was quite that big. So they're not doing that one yet anyway. So New Mexico apparently was colonized by the Spanish. All right, so it used to be inhabited by Native Americans. Right, for thousands of years it was inhabited by Native Americans. And then back in, according to Wikipedia, 1598, it was colonized by the Spanish. So they kind of walked in, and the name apparently has nothing to do with Mexico itself. It's all to do with the name that was given to it by the Spanish and so on. I can't remember the exact details, but it's not. It doesn't take its name from Mexico. Put it that way. Even though, ironically, it's right next door to it and used to be part of Mexico, so it's kind of a bit weird. But apparently, its name isn't taken from Mexico. It's just called New Mexico. It was part of an independent Mexico before it became a U.S. territory, is what I read. There was an American-Mexican war. I'm not really sure when it was, but there was a big war, and there was like a bunch of states down there that used to be part of Mexico and eventually then became part of the United States. So it became a US state. Statistically, it has the highest percentage of Hispanics and descendants of the Spanish. So it's, it is very much got from what I'm reading, a feel of the indigenous kind of Americans, the Native Americans, and also the Spanish, the Hispanics that came. So that's, if we're thinking about how the buildings will look, we're going to see very much a feel of both of those things. In fact, the weird thing is the flag. If you look at the flag for New Mexico, it's scarlet and gold, right, which are the colours of Spain. But the symbol that you see, the symbol is something to do with one of the tribes, one of the native tribes. It's a sun symbol of Zia or something, which maybe it's one of the gods, I'm not really sure. So even the flag has like both elements mixed in, which I think is kind of nice. But in terms of the buildings, well, we can expect a certain Spanish influence. Allegedly it's a semi-arid kind of climate. So if I look out the window here in Arizona, I don't know what you would describe this. It kind of looks semi-arid as well. It's not arid, but it's a bit of greenery going on, but there's an awful lot of dry land. So I guess this is semi-arid. So maybe it's going to feel like this when you drive into it, and then you're going to start to see lots of buildings with a very Hispanic or Native American feel to them. Not really sure. The culture is very much taken from both. And in terms of like numbers and stuff, it's the second highest percentage of Native Americans live there after Alaska. So there's still quite a lot of Native Americans around in New Mexico. And the fourth highest total number of Native Americans after California, Oklahoma, and Arizona. So all these states are kind of, in and around the same area. You can kind of get a feel for how it went, how people moved around and stuff. I don't think we're going to see any of that in the game, but it's interesting to sort of learn about where all this stuff came from and how these borders came to be and how these states came to be. I kind of find that a little bit interesting. It's funny, really, because like when I used to sit back I can still remember being at school and sitting in history lessons, and I was bored out of my skull. Like, I can still remember my thinking from back then. I used to think to myself, I don't care about this history stuff. That's all stuff that's happened. Why do I even need to do history? I don't want to do history lessons. I don't care about history. It's stuff that's happened. I'm more interested in the here and now and what's going to happen. Like, I can change the future, I can't change the past. So why do I want to learn about history? And yet here I am, sort of, I'm so much more interested in history and cultures now than I ever was when I was young. It's crazy. I don't know if that's true of everybody, but that's certainly true of me. Is this truck slowing down insane amounts? Why is he going so slowly? I mean, I'm going 55. He looks like he's going about 35. What the heck? I could perhaps understand that if he had like a really heavy or oversized load, but he blatantly doesn't. 217 miles left. So yeah, that's what prompted me to go and look it up, and then I thought to myself, well, while I've just read all this kind of interesting stuff, maybe some of you guys would actually want to know. I mean, maybe you already know anyway, but maybe there's people listening like me who hadn't got a clue about New Mexico, wasn't really sure where it was. I've learned where a lot more states are these days, but New Mexico was one of the ones that I just didn't know anything about, to be honest, apart from I've heard of the name. It does make you wonder where SCS is going to go after this one. Like, are they going to continue to pursue east? In which case they're going to have to tackle Texas, which is basically the big one. It's the elephant in the room, without a doubt. Or will they kind of head more north now and start to fill it in that way? I kind of wonder what the decision-making process is over there. Like, how do they decide which state to do next? You know, if they're working on New Mexico now, you can bet they're already planning what's coming after. But how do they make that decision? Is it based on what the map editors fancy doing? Or is it based on how quickly they think they can put it together, given their current assets and how different that state is? I don't know. And I think somebody asked me on a TMCN the other day, well, a few weeks ago, they said, like, do you think they should have started in the west, or should they have started in the east? If they'd have started in the east, imagine how different the assets would look in the game. I kind of feel like they went to the west, because the west it's like this, it's all sunny and dry, and the kind of feel of it is so very different to Eurotruck. If they'd have gone for the east coast, and gone for places like, you know, Boston and New York and all that kind of thing, maybe the feel of it would have been a bit closer to what we already have in Europe. And so they went west because they wanted to contrast it so greatly with what was in Eurotruck. Or is it just the fact that, you know, some people over there just went, oh, we want to do California, like, we've got to do California, California's amazing, we can do San Fran, we can do this, we can do that. Maybe that was it. But I wish SCS would give us a roadmap. I would love it if they gave us a roadmap. I know that they have always had the view of stuff is ready when it's ready. Like, we're not going to tell you when it's ready because we don't know. Because they don't work that way. They don't work in a kind of a project plan sense where they say, this thing has to be delivered by this deadline. They don't do that. They never have, and I don't think they ever will. The way they do things is, we're working on this next, and we kind of think it might be out soon, but we're not sure. And then the weeks roll by, we're just having a few more problems. Okay, it's out now. And that's the way it is. But even like a rough estimate would be fantastic. Even just a 12-month roadmap of saying, right, we're doing New Mexico, it's going to be out quarter 1 2017. Okay, quarter 2 we're planning these things, quarter 3 we're planning those, and quarter 4 we're planning those. However, it may not work out that way and we may change things, but hey, this is what we think we're doing right now. Even that would just be like, oh, thank God, now I can kind of get a feel for what's going on instead of just sitting here endlessly waiting for it to happen, because you know what it's like. It's like watching a kettle, isn't it? You don't, it just seems to take forever. Whereas if you go and do something for 2 minutes, come back and the kettle's boiled. Like, if I know in quarter 2 some stuff is coming and it's going to be this, this and this, I can think to myself, alright, well, I know I'm going to have that to drive or to enjoy, but I don't get it yet. It's just a different way of doing things, and I think it would greatly help the fan base, and to some extent SCS, knowing what they're doing. I mean, maybe they already have a plan, they just don't publish it. I'm sure they have a plan. I mean, I remember seeing a plan on when I went down there. I remember seeing a plan on the board for the next few months with the different things on the timeline. So I know they have a plan, but they don't tell anybody. And I think that comes out of fear. I think the fear is that if they say we're doing this, then A, they can't change their mind, and B, people are going to keep saying, is it ready yet? Is it ready yet? Is it ready yet? But there's a lot of benefits in saying what you're doing. Anyway. Which brings me back to ATS. I mean, ATS has not been a video on ATS from me for a while. A lot of people are saying, oh, have you stopped doing Trucking Diaries? No, I've not stopped doing it. I did stop for a while, and I definitely stopped doing the ATS stuff for a little while. Because probably like you, I just kind of got a little bit, there's just nowhere to go new in it, you know? Oh, come on. It's a pulling at the weighing agency. But it's not finished. I mean, I am going to change it. I think Trucking Diaries... Trucking Diaries NA, I have got a question mark over whether to continue with or not. I don't think it's as popular as the EU one by quite a bit. And as I said to you, I don't think there's enough new content to keep it interesting. To just keep it doing it regularly, you know? Come on. Rip? Okay. Oh, I didn't read. I didn't read. Bypass service green light. I forgot about that feature. So that's what happens when you don't play it regularly. You kind of forget about those little things. I know you probably sat there screaming it from your sofa then going, "You idiot squirrel, what are you doing? It's green light, you don't need to stop." Yeah. Well, at least we can do 75. That's the bonus. As much as I like playing this game, at the end of the day, if content is not changing enough, if there aren't enough new trailer packs being developed or trucks or maps, it's very hard to produce new content that is actually not only interesting for you, but interesting for me. And that's... I don't feel like the pace of change is there enough for me to do a regular series on this. Like, if I had to do a regular one video a week on ATS Trucking Diaries NA, for example, I kind of fear that it would get a little bit samey after a while. That's my fear of it all, and I don't want it to get samey. I want all the videos I make to be interesting. I don't want them to be kind of, oh, it's another one of those. And if you kind of look at the view counts on Trucking Diaries NA, you can see it just doesn't perform as well as the EU stuff, which tells me it's not as interesting. People are just not as interested in it. And so that's why I'm considering just kind of winding this one down. Like, I'm not going to stop just making stuff, I will tell you. But I'm just telling you my current thoughts on Trucking Diaries NA. And the reasons why I'm coming to those conclusions. I mean, it'd be interesting for me if you guys commented on that. Let me know your thoughts. I mean, don't just hold on to it nostalgically and say, "Oh, keep it going, Squirrel, don't let it, don't stop it." Like, you look at the view count as well, and you look at the comments and tell me what the sentiment is. Like, do I keep this going or not? And if I keep it going, how often do I produce a video? Are we getting off here? Yes, we are. Wow, that speed drop. Wait, what? What? Oh, you scumbag satnav! That's a classic. That is a classic. You know when you've been satnaved. Here, take a detour through the rest area. Why? Well, because it's just a little bit shorter to go that way. Let's ignore the speed. So the problem in this game is it ignores the speed limits. Like, satnavs, like, I've never coded a satnav, but I know the principles. You can often tell them to work on fastest route, shortest route, this kind of thing, avoid toll booths, avoid motorways, whatever you want. But generally speaking, like, the way they'll work is they'll plot a route, and there are many ways to get from A to B. For example, it's plotting a route down this road. What made it suddenly deviate off this road and go via the rest area? Well, it's because the road was curving to the right, and so what it worked out was if it went via that road there, it would actually be very slightly shorter than if it stayed on this road. What it completely ignored was the speed limit. The speed limit of this road is 75. The speed limit down there would have dropped down to 15. If I'd have taken that into consideration, it would have immediately just gone, nope, because I can stay on this road and do 75, which is much more efficient. So it's what they call the costing. It's all to do with, I remember doing this in computer science, it's to do with net theory. Net theory is like point to point, and what it is like if I go from A to B, what's the cost of going A, B, C compared to the cost of going A, B, B-C, like a slightly different route or a different node, and what's the cost of going down that particular route. And if you add all the costs up and it's more than the cost of going a different way, well, you eliminate that route because it's too expensive. And that's the principle of SatNav. The one that's built into this game, the routing engine that's built into this game, and it does it in Eurotruck, so it's obviously the exact same code, does those wacky things like that. It's not been coded for cost, it's only been coded for distance, it seems, and it needs to be fixed, because what just happened there is nuts. Anyway, I think I saw from the SatNav that we're getting off shortly. So I'm not sure whether to even start overtaking these guys or not. Let me change my view on the... Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we'll stay in this lane. There we go, we'll stay in this lane. And we're going to get off and then turn left. Look how flat and open it is here. Look at this. Do you see it just suddenly go like... It's like a billiard table. It's crazy. I've got back into City Skylines again recently, and just looking at the road layouts here, it's so cool because you build these kinds of things in Skylines, and the roads even look like this, like 4-lane with a central reservation, like you've got this kind of road. And you can line it with trees and make it look just like this. It's kind of cool driving... Hello. I've said before, what would be really awesome is if they could take Skylines, let you draw things out, and then export that into a map editor in American Truck Sim. Because if you could do that, you could rapidly generate the basics of a map really quickly. I don't know how feasible it is. I reckon it's possible. Just how much work it is and whether somebody would do it, but if it was done, you could just auto-generate scenery very rapidly and then go in there and finish it all off. Oh boy, the brakes. I thought I was going to go sail through red then for a minute. Texaco. Straight over the red line. I assume if I stop there, would I get a ticket if the police officer was here? Do you know what? I think this car is like... Look at this car. Because I've got a tyre in that box. He's refusing to... There you go. You can see how simplistic the engine is. Like, if I'm over that line, I'm in that box. If I'm in that box, he won't enter. The moment I come back over the line, he goes forward. And the difference between that and what a person would do in real life is quite simply that the person in real life would... When the light went green, he would carry on, but he would glare at you and tut at you. But he would otherwise carry on. He would just work around it, because he can see you're stopped. It's not about where you are, it's about what your intentions are. Okay, 40 limit down here. Let's try and not pick up another ticket. I love the palm trees though, the palm trees are so cool. Do you know what, I was looking on, bizarrely on eBay, how much palm trees are, because I was down at the local garden centre a few months ago, and they had a palm tree. Now bear in mind I live in England, right? I live in England, it's not exactly palm tree climate at all, but they sell palm trees that you can buy. And it was, I think it was £1,200, which is about $1,500. And that was for I think it was a 4-foot palm tree, so it was quite a young palm tree. If you wanted the taller one, it was like £2,000. It's like, what? It's a tree? I don't care how much I want a palm tree. How much? I just thought it was nuts. I mean, I don't know how long they take to grow, but that seems like really excessive. So yeah, don't think I'll be decorating my garden with palm trees, put it that way. Auto zone. Walmart. Where are we going? Right at the end. What's it called? Oh, we're going to take the... Oh, right. So it's a point-to-point delivery. From Texaco to Texaco. I hadn't realised. I'm guessing that's... We've just picked it up from the refinery and we're taking it to the fuel station. I've got a feeling this is going to be... Is anybody behind me? It's going to be that horrible drop-off point where it's like you have to reverse in from the road. There we are. I think what I'll do is I'll... Oh no, it's not. It's the easy one. There's another one that's truly horrible. Oh no, no. Tell a lie. Tell a lie. There it is. Yep. So what I'm going to have to do is wait for the traffic to clear and then attempt to reverse. But the problem is, well, it's not only is it a blindside reverse, but the traffic's just going to keep coming. Okay, let's put the blinkers on and hope it makes a difference. Yeah, blindside reverses are so much fun. As you can hear, even though I've got the blinkers on, and even though I'm doing my job and delivering as instructed, the amount of patience. Thanks, pal. Thanks for your understanding. Something else I could do with the dressing in the game. Actually made a mess of this as well, just to make matters worse. I actually overcooked it. Normally you end up going the other way and just underdo it. What I need to do now is just get off this road. Let the traffic clear a little bit and then we'll try and adjust it. Yeah, but yeah, people have often said, oh, if you put your blinkers on, the AI gives you a bit more room. Nah, they don't. You just saw that then. They really don't. They don't care. I might as well turn them off. It should, hopefully, accept that. Unless it wants it exactly on the money. There we go. Now I think we're going to get some deductions here. That's pretty much where they wanted it. Oh, do you know what? I know it doesn't make any difference, but it makes a difference to me. I'm just going to straighten it off. That's better. Feels good, man. Yeah, we're going to get some deductions, I think. Excellent delivery. No, we didn't get any deductions. Wow, nice. Okay. See, it's weird, because the guy went into the side of a truck, the tanker right at the start. It didn't cause any damage, but I kind of felt like we might have picked up a few bumps and grazes, but we've leveled up. We've hit level 14. We got some bonus for hazmat delivery. A bit of a long distance bonus and an urgent delivery. So they had it really nicely. Look at that. 26k for that. That's really good. Now there's no point doing this. We could just go for our last thingy, which will give us which one was that? That one. That's the blue stripy one, isn't it? Which one's that? This one. Flammable solids. We might as well take it, and then we've got everything ticked off. Let's pull forward a bit. But yeah, it was a nice journey. We had a little stop off. And we've got a bit more money now. How much have we got? So let's have a quick look at the 131. So we went up quite a bit there. 131,000. Let's quickly look at the bank situation. 279. So I'm quite a bit off this yet. I can't take enough little loans to pay that big one off. So if I took out 100, that would leave me with 231, which is not enough. So I need to get this number up so I can take out a 100 grand loan and then pay that one off. Which would be great because we'll be down to just 100 grand of debt at that point, which would be really nice. But yeah, another successful delivery from Squirrel Logistics. Hope you enjoyed that episode, guys. Leave me some comments to let me know about what you think about the series and whether we should wind it down. But until next time, take care. Happy trucking.